Hi, everybody. This is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a Q&A episode, so let's actually get started, shall we? So, first question. So, I got a bunch of questions from you, Luxilla, so let's actually get started with you. Did crocodilians like Koolasuchus go extinct by outcompeting it, and did they hunt the giant amphibian too? So, in Walking with Dinosaurs, in the second to last episode, which is the fifth episode, is the episode called Spirits of the Ice Forests. And it's a story that takes place in Antarctica. You know, you have Leonosaura, you have a bunch of Borealopelta in there. You also have possibility is Ostrovenator. There as well. I mean, they call it a polar allosaur, but it's really a different kind of dinosaur, but right now. And then you had the amphibian Koolasuchus in there. And it did, in the narrator, Kenneth Branagh, said in kind of around the beginning parts of the episode, is that Koolasuchus is a creature that was from an era before dinosaurs, which is somewhat true. And with like the competition with crocodiles, with the competition of crocodiles, those giant amphibians went extinct. But in Antarctica and Australia, the waters were too cold for crocodiles to exist, which I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But even though that, like, yeah, it is going to be, the water's going to be a little bit too cold for crocodiles. But I wouldn't have been surprised that there were crocodiles there. It's just that they probably were very rare at that point in time. But in terms of that crocodiles made Koolasuchus go extinct, I'm not totally buying that. I would probably say that like it played somewhat of a part in it, but I probably would say it's more due to climate change. Because if Koolasuchus only survived till like say 100 million years ago, I would probably say that it was more due to climate change. Like the temperatures increased a little bit, and then of course tectonic plates kind of forced Australia and Antarctica to be somewhat separated apart a tad bit, and that's where you have a little bit of an issue for Koolasuchus to survive. Because remember, giant amphibians are very sensitive to climate change. They're very, very sensitive to climate change. And so look at any amphibian. Look at any amphibian that is around today. Any sort of climate change plays a detrimental part in its ability to survive. Like frogs, toads, salamanders, you name it. Those amphibians are very sensitive to climate change. I'd probably say more to do with climate change is the reason that it went extinct. Koolasuchus went extinct. And who would win? Megalocaris or Daeodon? And so you got Daeodon, who is an entelodont. Everybody knows that one. It's one of the biggest entelodonts known in the fossil record. And then Megalocaris is a pig-like creature from Africa. Now, they say pig-like, and from what I've seen out of paleo art, it's looking more and more like a pig, like an actual pig. But it probably might be like a transition type of species where it looks like it's got some like evidence to show that it's like part entelodont, and then it's kind of transition towards to being more like a pig. But it's looking more and more like a pig. And so, but that pig, Megalocaris, is more likely, I would say, is like, because it's because the range it's from the Miocene, whereas Daeodon is more in the late Oligocene epoch. So I would probably say that Daeodon might actually win this one because of the sheer bite force alone, and also the physical toughness that it has, even though that Megalocaris might be a tad bit smarter than than Daedon, but I'd probably say that Daedon would more likely get this one. All right. So let me get to your other question here. Yeah, here we go. Who would win, Vetripristosaurus or Australopithecus? So these two dinosaurs they're found in Tanzania. One is from the Jurassic, and the other one is from the early Cretaceous. And so Vetripristosaurus is from the early Cretaceous, whereas Australopithecus is from the late Jurassic. And from what it looks like, Australopithecus is looking more and more like a Spinosaurid, whereas Vetripristosaurus is a Carcharodontosaurid. But these two animals are not fully complete specimens. They're very, very fragmentary fossils of these things, and so there's not much to go about for what these animals really were like. I believe Australopithecus is smaller, and I think Vetripristosaurus, it's an estimated length that's 34 feet. So I'd probably say Vetripristosaurus. I keep getting the name kind of can't get the name to come out of my mouth. But yeah, I'd probably say that the Carcharodontosaurid will win that one. But thanks, Luke. All right, Nicholas, your question. I was wondering if you are doing some research on one of my previous question on a Pleistocene Park, if you have heard of it, and if these Ice Age animals are cloned, and would they be able to survive in this man-made Ice Age park? So the Pleistocene Park, that is something that is probably more likely going to happen. Is that because scientists are like really close to cloning an actual woolly mammoth. They're close to possibly cloning like cave bears, even like ancient wolves, and I think an oxen too, an Ice Age oxen, if I remember correctly. And so these would not be pure like species of these animals. They would be hybrids, and I'd probably say that it could happen. In terms of like how would they survive, they would have to be in a very, very private owned like facility, and it has to have multiple like numerous amounts of acres of like land for them to be able to survive. And so it's going to be tricky. But it could happen. But the thing is that these are animals that are going to mainly just be just going to be for study. They're not really going to be used for like the public to see. So yeah, it's going to be tricky, but it can happen. It can happen. All right, Nick, your other question. Was wondering if it is possible for the bite force of a T-Rex bigger than both Sue and Scotty could be as strong as between 12 to 13,000 pounds, or is it unlikely, and how strong the bite force of both Sue and Scotty, the T-Rexes? Well, if there was a possibility that there could be a T-Rex larger than Sue and Scotty, there is a possibility. There is definitely a possibility that there's a fossil T-Rex out there that could be bigger than Scotty and Sue. Now, this T-Rex would probably have to be over 30 years old in order for it to be that large. But in terms of like the bite force, could a T-Rex have like a stronger bite force than 12,000 and 13,000 pounds? I think it's a possibility. I mean, like the bite force of a T-Rex keeps changing. It just keeps changing. All the time, because you had conservative estimates of like say 6,000 to 10,000 pounds, whereas like the more likely bite forces is 12 to 13,000 pounds. Higher, like more progressive types of estimates would say like as high as say 50,000 pounds, which is incredible. But is it likely? I don't know. But I think with Scotty and Sue, Scotty, I think because they did test out Sue. Sue's bite force, I believe, is to be, I believe it was like just over 12,000 pounds. In terms of a bite force, Scotty's, I believe they said that Scotty's bite force was like say almost towards Sue's. It was almost towards Sue's. I'd say like maybe just at 12,000 pounds. But there's much better research out there for that type of thing to be talked about. But yeah, hopefully that there is a paper out there about bite force coming soon about like Tyrannosaurs and other specimens of T-Rex in general. Because I would love to read that paper if there's one out there, especially like a more recent one. All right, Alex from YouTube asks, what sorts of animals could oppose T-Rex in its time? So if you're talking about herbivores, if you're talking about herbivorous dinosaurs in its time, during T-Rex's time, you have Triceratops, you have Torosaurus, you have Ankylosaurus, you also have Alamosaurus, and it's a possibility. Even though that Edmontosaurus is still around, at that point in time, I would probably say Edmontosaurus could actually give T-Rex a run for its money. But if you're talking about carnivores, the only thing that would ever go up against T-Rex is a T-Rex itself. So there wouldn't be a carnivore out there that would dare try to attack a T-Rex besides another T-Rex. So if you're only talking about herbivorous dinosaurs, I just gave you that list. It's Triceratops, Torosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Alamosaurus, and Edmontosaurus. Those would actually give T-Rex some little bit of trouble. Edmontosaurus doesn't really have armor, but it would have like the herd mentality, and also it would have a little bit more of like an agility factor too, to be able to get away from a T-Rex. Whereas like say Triceratops, Torosaurus, and Ankylosaurus, they have some bits of armor, and so I would probably say those ones would be the ones that T-Rex would have to take a step back a little bit and figure it out and try to figure out where like the right angle to attack. Whereas Allosaurus, they would have to go after the young ones. There is no way for a T-Rex to be able to take on a full-grown adult. There was no shot for that to happen. All right, Alex on Facebook, your question, what are some of the improvements that you have seen in the recent dinosaur documentary series of Prehistoric Life? What are some of the improvements that need to be made to make these recent prehistoric documentary series a better series for the public to watch? This is a good question. These are good questions. So what I've seen in terms of improvements is that, because if you look at Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV Plus, it's got better storytelling. And also it makes it look like you're watching a nature documentary. It's like you're watching a nature documentary, not like it's like here's a story, here's what the animals we're going to be talking about, and so on and so forth. Because Walking with Dinosaurs was revolutionary for its time in the late 90s, but as time went on, you could kind of see is that trope started to get really dated, and then it was like, okay, what can we do to actually make an improvement? And the one improvement is to make it look like a nature documentary. David Attenborough is probably one of the best narrators in nature documentaries of all time. So I'd probably say that that's a bigger improvement. Narration has gotten better somewhat, and so on and so forth. But what other things could be improved upon? I would probably say is that one thing that needs to be improved upon is probably certain aspects of size to certain animals. And also we need to see different kinds of prehistoric animals. instead of the ones that we already know. You know, because like yes, in the nature, in like say a dinosaur documentary, you want to see T Rex, you want to see Stegosaurus, you want to see Spinosaurus, Velociraptor, Triceratops. You know, you want to see the big name dinosaurs all the time. You want to see them because that's what the public knows. But when it comes to like other dinosaurs that don't get a lot of attention, those need to be added. Those need to be added into like a prehistoric documentary. That needs to happen a little bit more. And even like animals from the past, and even in like the age of mammals, we need to have more animals, that prehistoric animals that nobody knows. We need to have a little bit more better understanding for that, and hopefully the public can watch that. Because from what I've been hearing out of the Netflix series Life on Our Planet, is that the narration is very cliched. It's very cliched. And like I have yet to see it myself, so please don't spoil me on anything about this series just yet. I'll do my review about that on January. There'll be the first extra episode of 2024. So please do not spoil me for this. But what I've been hearing, it's very cliched. But I heard that the CGI is not too bad. But at least it kind of gives you like some areas in time that you can actually take a look at. But at least some of the animals are starting to look a little bit more accurate. Prehistoric Planet, the animals are accurate. The dinosaurs are accurate. Majority of the time they're accurate. And also the reptiles that were around, and even the mammals. I would probably say that the T-Rexes kind of look too much like Sue. I think that's the one thing that needs to change a bit too, is that the T-Rexes can't all just be Sue. They cannot all be Sue. They have to be different. It's like if you look at all the T-Rex specimens out there, they're totally different from each other. I would probably say that they need to work on making the T-Rexes look more individualized instead of just like, oh, we can just use Sue. We could just use Sue. That's all we need. Like, use Scotty, use Stan, use like Tristan or Trix, you know, or the American Museum of Natural. I mean, the American Museum of Natural History specimens used all the time, but like also use like the Wankel Rex. You know, use those because those are really good specimens. So please, like prehistoric animal documentary series, like producers, writers. You know, please don't just use like the American Museum of Natural History specimen or just Sue. Use all different kinds of T-Rexes because all the different kinds of T-Rexes are different. Please do that. But those are really good questions, Alex. I really, really do like that. All right, Benjamin, why has Baryonyx been nicknamed Claws? I have never heard of that. I have never seen anything through social media calling Baryonyx Claws. I have never heard of that. The only one I would probably consider to be called Claws is Therizinosaurus, not Baryonyx. I mean, like Baryonyx, I mean, it's got that big claw in each hand, but I don't know if I would call it Claws. I really don't know. Did all Tyrannosaurs have binocular vision? This is a good question. Did all Tyrannosaurs have binocular vision? Now, there's some Tyrannosaurs, especially the smaller ones, that have their eyes on the side of their skull so that they have good peripheral vision, but not very good, but not very limited binocular vision. But as you get towards like the medium-sized and somewhat larger Tyrannosaurs, their eyes are starting to get a little bit more forward, so their binocular vision is getting much, much better. And so I would probably say the medium to large sized Tyrannosaurs, their binocular vision is excellent. Smaller Tyrannosaurs did not have that luxury, so they probably did not have to do that because first and foremost, if you're smaller, you also have to be wary of like other predators that are around, like predators larger than you. And so you have to get out of there as quickly as possible. So, but a very good question. Is Borealopelta the most well-preserved armored dinosaur? Yes, it is. And I think when you look at that specimen, it's amazing. And like if seen the pictures of Borealopelta, Like, it's one of the most well-preserved dinosaurs to have come out of the fossil record. It's amazing. Like, anybody that is actually, like, look up Borealopelta, and you just see how amazing, how well preserved this animal is. Like, some bits of the skin are fossilized. All the scutes that are with the skin are fossilized. I mean, even some bits of the keratin have been fossilized, which is actually awesome. And it's an awesome specimen. Please, everybody, check that specimen out. Please, it's an awesome specimen. And who would win, Deinocheirus or Baryonyx? So Deinocheirus is from the late Cretaceous period, and fossils are found in Mongolia, part of its own family of theropods and coelurosaurs called Deinocheirids. And then you got Baryonyx, which is a spinosaurid from the early Cretaceous, and it lived in Europe. And most of the time, so because get that out of the way, these animals never existed. They were never in the same time with each other, so they never seen each other. But for the sake of it, I'm going Deinocheirus on this one, because Deinocheirus is way too big for Baryonyx to take down. Way too big. Baryonyx just does not have the weaponry to be able to take on Deinocheirus. Like, sure, it's got those like cone-shaped teeth, but those teeth are only used for grabbing and hanging on to slippery stuff, which is fish. And so the claws can do so little against Deinocheirus. Deinocheirus' claws can do a lot of damage, and so I probably would say Deinocheirus wins that one. But that's all the questions I got for you today. So next week would be a special episode. I'll let you guys know what kind of prehistoric I'm going to talk about, so stay tuned for that. And you can still send me questions about dinosaurs and other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochrist71@gmail.com, or just go to my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dinochrist. Like the page, you post your questions in the comment section. Please put them in the comment section. Don't put them on Messenger. Messenger is a private conversation, so please put your questions in the comment section on any Facebook posts. And also for you YouTubers out there, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel according to my analytics. So a lot of you guys are checking out my channel and not subscribed yet. So please feel free to hit that subscribe button. And also, how the YouTube algorithm works is that the more likes the video gets, the more likely it gets spreads out to people. More likely it gets spreads out to people that are interested in dinosaurs, prehistoric life, paleontology, geology in general. So please hit that like button. Hit the like button on any of my videos on my YouTube channel, so that way you can, so that's the way get the algorithm going. And also, feel free to subscribe to the channel, because more subscribers, so that way people can actually get, and so that way you can actually keep track of my channel. And also feel free to hit that notification bell. So if you hit that notification bell, you get weekly notifications of every video that comes out. And also go to the community tab. I'm starting to put up some polls now again. So please put your opinions into the polls. And make sure to be respectful in those polls. Don't start fights, please. And also for you YouTubers out there, leave your questions in the comments section, because I do read them all. Your questions mean a lot. All of you that are sending me questions via email, Facebook, and YouTube. You guys are awesome. It keeps this channel going, especially with these Q&A episodes. You guys are awesome, giving me some great questions. And also make sure you keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Instagram at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there. You can also follow me on Threads, which is the same thing, at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there as well. You can also follow me on, or never mind. And also take care of people around you. And also for younger people out there, to make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have good education with a good education. A good job to fit here. All right, that's it for now. And I'll see you guys next time.